It took me 4 decades to understand something that was always right in front of me. Getting rich is simple. Not easy, but simple. Most people believe wealth is a complicated formula, hidden behind spreadsheets, exclusive knowledge, or pure luck. But that's not the truth. The real difference between those who reach financial freedom and those who remain stuck in a cycle of stress and bills is not found in secret investment strategies or unexpected windfalls. It lies in habits that anyone can practice, but few truly value. The problem? Simplicity is uncomfortable, because it forces us to admit that many of our financial failures were actually decisions to ignore, delay, or pretend. The world loves to complicate money. We're taught to chase complex assets, technical jargon, and clever strategies, while completely ignoring the basics. Spend less than you earn, invest with consistency, think long-term, and reject fake luxury. Most people don't fail financially because they didn't earn enough. They fail because they can't accept that what separates them from wealth is not intelligence. It's behavior. Not opportunity. It's decision. Wealth isn't a puzzle. It's a mirror. The more you study money, the more obvious everything becomes. And that hurts, because clarity exposes excuses, the missed chances, the emotional traps we've walked into again and again. For years, I found myself surrounded by vanity metrics, high numbers, impressive titles, a lifestyle that looked successful from the outside, but none of it translated into actual freedom. I was running in circles, achieving recognition, while living with financial anxiety. Only when I embraced simplicity as a master did things begin to change. I stopped trying to outperform everyone else and started trying to outdiscipline my old self. That changed everything. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the hard-earned truths I've gathered over 40 years. Lessons that cost me time, money, and pride, but ultimately gave me control. If you're tired of barely getting by, tired of always owing, and never being able to breathe, you need to hear this. And more than that, you need to act. The 136 method, a framework for real financial power. There's a method I call 136, and it changed my life. It's not a magic trick. It won't make you rich overnight, but it does 3 things. Ensures you always have enough to cover your basic needs. Builds a system for consistent investment in your future. Creates space for real-life enjoyment without guilt. It's designed to keep you out of the cycle of living paycheck to paycheck, where every new expense feels like a crisis. With the 136 method, you stop reacting and start deciding. The difference is massive. You'll find a link to the full breakdown in the description or in the first pinned comment. But let's keep going, because this isn't about a formula. It's about a mindset. It was never about the math. It was about the mirror. Most people think getting rich requires mastering Excel, reading charts, or predicting the market. But the truth is far more confronting. Wealth isn't about math. It's about mindset. The real problem isn't on your spreadsheet. It's in your reflection. People overspend not because they don't know better, but because they're trying to fill emotional voids with monthly payments. And that has nothing to do with financial education. It's about impulse, ego, and fear. Think about this. Someone earning $2,000 a month and saving $200 is closer to wealth than someone earning $20,000 and spending $21,000. That shatters the myth that wealth is only for the high earners. It proves that wealth is about discipline, not digits. It's about delayed gratification, not instant status. Status versus freedom. One of the most expensive lies people buy into is the idea that they must look rich to feel valuable. That's why people finance $8,000 phones instead of investing that money. Why they buy luxury cars while living in rented homes. Why someone with a minimum wage salary will still spend $600 on imported perfume. None of these choices by themselves are wrong. But when they become the norm, when looking good becomes more important than being financially well, everything begins to fall apart. You don't build wealth by impressing strangers. You build it by making decisions that feel boring today, but lead to freedom tomorrow. And freedom doesn't come from appearances. It comes from invisible habits, small consistent actions, and the courage to look boring. The hidden cost of approval. The need to prove ourselves is one of the most expensive habits a person can have. Some people sacrifice their future just to earn applause from people who don't even care. They buy things not because they need them, but because they want to show the world that they're doing well. But here's the truth. If someone really needs to see you winning, they're probably pretending too. It's a collective performance where everyone is acting rich and no one is actually building wealth. If you want to win the money game, you have to be okay with being misunderstood for a while, with declining invitations, with skipping trends, with being called boring. Because eventually, the same people who mock your restraint will ask you how you built your peace. Learn to be invisible. Getting truly rich means learning to go unnoticed. It means swapping the phrase, "look what I bought," for "look what I'm building." That's hard, because the world rewards instant consumption and mocks delayed satisfaction. But it's precisely that restraint that allows you one day to buy in cash what others are still paying off in 12 installments with interest. This shift begins with a single question. Am I doing this to feel good now or to live free later? The answer defines your future. The most brutal rule in finance. Let's simplify everything to one basic rule. Spend less than you earn. It sounds like something a child could understand, because it is. But the reason it's brutal is that it demands maturity, focus, and self-denial, qualities in short supply in a world of instant everything. If your income is $3,000 and your expenses are $3,100, you are not living. You are sinking. And it's not always about big purchases. Often, it's the small ones. The daily coffee, the third food delivery of the week, the Uber when you could have walked. These little leaks are what sink financial ships. Build a system, not excuses. Treat this golden rule like brushing your teeth. It must become automatic. Start by tracking your spending. Use a spreadsheet. Use an app. Use a notebook if you have to. Just know where your money goes. Once you see it, you can control it. And where there's control, there's direction. A powerful practical exercise. Live on 70% of your income. Split the other 30% between investments, emergency savings, personal growth goals. It feels tight at first. Then it feels empowering. The moment you stop living in survival mode and start seeing money left over at the end of the month, your sense of control changes everything. Because real progress isn't about how much you make. It's about how consistently you behave. Most people don't need a higher income. They need discipline, strategy, and a decision. A decision to finally do what works, even if no one claps for it. So let me ask you something. Which part of your financial life need to reset? Is it the spending, the saving, the mindset? Tell me in the comments. Your insight might unlock someone else's turning point. And if this content helped you, share it with someone who's still stuck in the noise. The first step to transformation is awareness. The next is action. We live in a world that celebrates yes. Say yes to invitations, to indulgence, to the latest gadget, the hottest stock tip, the lifestyle upgrade you deserve. But here's the truth no one likes to hear. Every yes has a cost. And in most cases, it's your future that pays the bill. Financial discipline begins with the power to say no, not just to others, but to yourself. Not out of fear, not out of scarcity, but out of strength. Saying no is a superpower. Most people aren't broke because they don't earn enough. They're broke because they say yes too often. Yes, to financing a car they can't afford. Yes, to impressing others with things they don't need. Yes, to dinners, gadgets, trips, favors, and habits that drain their peace. The result? A constant state of stress and lack, masked by temporary highs and social validation. True wealth builders learn to say no, even when it's awkward, even when it feels like missing out. They understand that each no today is a deeper yes to freedom tomorrow. It's not that they lack generosity. It's that they've learned the hard way that generosity without boundaries leads to self-destruction. The myth of looking successful. One of the greatest traps is trying to appear wealthy instead of becoming wealthy. There's a reason the person driving the flashiest car often rents their apartment, or why someone with a $600 fragrance can't cover a $400 emergency. Because appearance is easy. Discipline is not. There's nothing wrong with having nice things. The danger is in needing them to prove something, to others or to yourself. That need creates endless pressure. You end up borrowing from your future to entertain people who probably aren't watching. You're not falling behind because you lack opportunities. You're falling behind because you keep trading freedom for approval, mastering the impulse where real wealth begins. Most financial problems don't start with a huge mistake. They start with a moment, a small, unchecked impulse. I've had a long day. I deserve this. It's on sale. I'd be stupid not to buy it. I'll figure out how to pay for it later. Each impulse chips away at your foundation. And while the impact may be invisible at first, it accumulates, quietly, consistently, until one day you realize you're no longer making decisions. You're just managing consequences. Real wealth is built by those who master the moment between desire and decision. That's the filter. That's the power. It's not about being cold or calculating. It's about being intentional. Because no one builds a fortune by accident. The most underrated investment. Time. We often think of money as our most valuable resource. But that's not true. Time is. And ironically, time is where most people leak their potential. Your free time reveals your real priorities. Do you use it to consume or to construct? Do you scroll or study? Do you numb yourself with entertainment or fuel yourself with knowledge? This isn't about becoming a machine. It's about realizing that what you do when no one's watching defines who you become. If your weekends are spent shopping out of boredom, binge watching out of habit, or partying out of pressure, then your future wealth is being quietly sabotaged. Not by lack of income, but by lack of intention. Replace escape with education. We all need rest. But too many people confuse distraction with recovery. One person spends their weekend spending. Another spends it learning. One escapes into consumption. The other builds clarity and confidence. The result? One is living paycheck to paycheck. The other is building assets that will one day pay them to rest for real. Books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, The Richest Man in Babylon, or even YouTube videos like this aren't just financial content. They're tools that reshape how you think, how you act, and eventually, what you own. Stop outsourcing your future. Most people spend more time planning a vacation than they do planning their financial future. They react to life instead of designing it. They chase extra income without ever building structure. They work harder but rarely smarter. True wealth begins when you stop outsourcing your future to chance and start taking ownership, one decision at a time. You don't need to be a genius. You don't need to be born into wealth. But you do need to decide. Decide that you'll live on less than you earn. Decide that you'll invest before you spend. Decide that your future matters enough to sacrifice for it today. Consistency beats brilliance. You don't need to be the smartest person in the room. You just need to be the most consistent one. I've seen people double their income and still stay broke. And I've seen modest earners build real wealth over time simply because they made good decisions again and again and again. Wealth is rarely the result of one big win. It's the result of 10,000 small wins stacked. Daily choices. Quiet discipline. Delayed praise. It doesn't feel glamorous, but it works. Have you ever stopped to measure how much your impulses are costing you each month? Not just in money, but in peace, in clarity, and potential? Share one habit you know you need to let go of. Just one. It could be the start of a conversation that changes someone else's trajectory too. And if this video is helping you think differently about your money, make sure you check if you're already subscribed to the channel. You might be surprised how many people watch regularly and aren't subscribed. If you don't want to miss the next lesson, hit that button and turn on notifications. There's a myth we need to destroy once and for all, that real wealth is only possible for the few, the lucky, or the highly gifted. That's a lie. Real wealth is not inherited. It's not accidental. And it's not about being in the right place at the right time. It's about doing the right things, consistently, even when no one is watching. Most millionaires didn't start rich. In fact, studies show that over 80% of millionaires today are self-made. They didn't win the lottery or marry into money. They built it with strategy, with self-control, with patience, and, most importantly, with a refusal to live according to what others expected. The 3 traits of wealth builders. After 4 decades observing people who achieve financial peace, 3 traits stood out every time. Delayed gratification. They can say no now for a better yes later. They'd rather be wealthy in 10 years and pretend to be rich today. Long-term vision. They see beyond the weekend. They make choices that won't pay off this month, but will change their entire future. Self-respect. They don't need to prove anything. They don't chase applause. They chase progress. Quietly, daily. If you can develop these 3 traits, even with a modest income, you'll be ahead of 90% of people who are more than you, but lose it all to bad habits. How to think like a wealthy person before you become one. Wealth isn't just a number. It's a way of thinking. Wealthy people don't see money as a tool to impress. They see it as a lever, something that can be multiplied through systems, ownership, and ideas. They understand every dollar has a job. If it's not invested or protected, it's probably being wasted. Emotions are expensive. Most bad financial decisions are made in a rush, during stress or excitement. Wealth is built in silence. While others chase attention, wealth builders chase assets. And most importantly, they know that every financial decision is a reflection of identity. So instead of asking, "Can I afford this?" they ask, "Is this who I want to become?" You don't need $1 million to be rich. We've been tricked into thinking that wealth starts with big money. It doesn't. It starts when you decide that you'll control your time. You'll stop living in fear of bills. You'll no longer depend on others for peace. True wealth is waking up without dread. It's knowing you can take a day off without anxiety. It's having money working for you while you sleep. You don't need millions to experience this. You just need a different relationship with money. The danger of just once. Let's talk about the most dangerous phrase in personal finance. Just this once. Just this once, I'll use my credit card. Just this once, I won't invest. Just this once, I'll skip track of my spending. Each just once is a vote against your future. And like bricks, they stack until they build a wall between you and the life you actually want. But here's the good news. Discipline works the same way. Each time you make the better choice, even when it's uncomfortable, you stack bricks of progress. The wall becomes a bridge. Stop worshiping hustle. Start worshiping clarity. We glorify the hustle, but hustle without direction is chaos. It doesn't matter how fast you move if you're running in circles. Most people don't need more speed. They need alignment, a clear vision, a practical plan, the courage to go slow, because they know exactly where they're going. Clarity creates focus, and focus beats hustle every time. Your legacy is built in small moments. Every decision you make today is casting a vote for the life you'll live tomorrow and for the example you'll leave behind. If you have kids, they're watching. If you don't, your younger self is still watching. Build a life that earns your own respect, one that doesn't just chase numbers, but values freedom and peace. No one's coming to save you, but the version of you who decided to take control, that person can. Final thoughts. Wealth is a consequence. Wealth is not a goal. It's a consequence. It's the natural result of living with intentionality, courage, and consistency. If you change your identity, you'll change your actions. And when your actions change, your results will follow. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Start with what you have. Build where you are. Because the greatest investment you'll ever make is in becoming the person who no longer needs to pretend, who no longer fears the bills, who no longer borrows peace. If you found any part of this message useful, insightful, or challenging, consider sharing this video with someone who might need to hear it too. You never know whose story you might shift with one simple act of generosity. And now me tell you, what's one change you'll make starting today? Drop it in the comments below. The journey is long, but you don't have to walk it alone.